Hi everyone and welcome along. We've had such an amazing response to the country cottage with the hollyhocks that I painted for you a week or so ago, and I'm really keen to get us all painting, even if they're simplified and small and distant, some lovely little buildings and structures, houses in beautiful landscapes. It's something I'm really enjoying painting at the moment, and I'd love to share it with you. So today we're going to go a bit further afield and paint a lovely Japanese temple. So grab your paints and let's get started. Okay, so to begin with, I'm going to chuck one of my brushes across the page. I'm going to create some mountains, and we're going to do a nice stylized colour palette here. I'm going to take some alizarin crimson and imperial purple, maybe some moon glow. That might be fun. Just knock it down a bit. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to create some very distant mountains. So I've got that colour, and then to contrast, I think we'll do a mountain using, alizarin crimson, cadmium orange, and a bit of moon glow as well. But let's start off. So I've got a 6 by 6 inch bit of paper, I've got a size 8 pointed round brush, and I'm going to begin by painting a line of mountain, clean my brush off, and just to create some interest on the back there, I have just done some little streaks. I'll take a little bit more of the colour and maybe just drop it in to the top there. That looks pretty cool. Okay, just let that dry and then we'll pop in the next mountain. That's a little bit of time. And now I'm going to pop in another mountain. So I'm not too worried about the fact that this one is just like a tiny bit soft, because it's all off in the distance. We sort of want it to all kind of disappear. So we're going to let that just settle in and dry. And next, once that has dried, I'm going to be placing in a simple little temple here. But down here, we still want just a little bit of colour. So I'm going to just build up a sort of vignette, I suppose. So I'm just sort of bringing in some colour from the side with the yellow ochre, but with a bit of moon glow on it. We'll get some of that these nice plummy colours as well. Get a bit of moon glow in there as well, because it is more up close in the foreground. And we'll be able to place lovely trees, blossom trees in there, and this nice little temple. So we'll let that all dry now. Okay, so let's draw our temple. So first thing, and I'm going to draw quite lightly. I really don't want too much heavy pencil. A vertical line, and then a sort of Christmas tree. I'm just doing this by eye. And then from that, I'm going to sort of choose 3 points up where I'm going to just cut off at a horizontal point, so roughly equal. Okay, so what's going to happen at these horizontal junctions is I am going to make that my sort of tower, the actual building, and then we're going to use this line to create the amazing roof. Again, just doing this by eye. It might sort of get adjusted as I go. Okay, so let's look at this bottom one here. The other thing I want to do is to create this temple on a 3/4 angle. So just stick with me here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little line like that, and that is going to be the point at which, that's like the wall, the side wall of each temple. So it's going to go down just a little bit, and that is going to connect like that. That side is going to connect like that, but this side we're going to have a third sort of point of the roof coming up, so we're going to have so you suddenly see you've created a 3/4 angled tower. So that is the basic structure of it. I'll just give it a little sort of base, a little sort of balcony around the edge on a platform. And that is what we're going to use to paint with. I'm going to continue with this stylized colour palette, and I want to make a deep dark shadowy colour. So if I get Moonglow, and I get a bit of Payne's Grey actually in here as well. And then I'll also have a lighter version. But I'm going to begin by painting the undersides of the roof. And I'm just painting just sort of shy of the pencil line that I drew. Then I'll get some, not alizarin crimson, some Payne's Grey in there as well. Okay, so we're going to do all three. So often with watercolour, in fact every single time with watercolour I say, oh, start with your lightest colour first and build up. But sometimes it's just interesting to try things a little differently, because I've painted that on, I've not given it a huge amount of drying time, but I want to just see what happens if I can use the sort of heavy colour I've painted in to sort of feed off with the rest of my painting. Might not make a huge amount of sense yet, but essentially what I'm now doing is using some of the much lighter colour of the alizarin crimson Moonglow mix to start sort of painting the much lighter edges of the roof, just allowing for little bits of unpainted space here and there. And then from underneath, I'm going to just see if anything, not much is going to come down. It's already dried anyway. It's a warm day today. So now I'm going to bring my alizarin crimson in down and just sort of have the shadow very much at the top. So I might just add some more of that there. Do the same up here, start at the top with more colour. And then just try and bring it down like that. We're not going to worry about the top until much later on. So I'll have the bare minimum there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stronger, darker bit and just start sort of filling in from the side with the intention to sort of fill up this side wall. Just put a bit of another colour there. We're just sort of basically sort of playing around, filling up blocks at this point, and just playing around with this colour palette. I'm going to add in a little bit more shade just in on the roofs there. And now I'm going to start sort of building in a little bit more interest and detail on the building itself. But again, it's still very minimal. Just giving this a slight impression of a frame on the wall. And now I'm going to get some much stronger, deeper, darker tones. So I've got some Payne's Grey in with me alizarin crimson. And I want to really now start to play around with the unpainted space and the lines. So I've got a size 0 brush. Now I like how this is just sort of starting to slowly take shape. And it's just come through sort of sitting and observing, sort of where I feel like the light is hitting it, how I can use a very limited colour palette. This is kind of exploratory painting, I suppose. I'm going to just sort of cast some shadow across the building underneath. And I think now is probably a good time to just let it dry 100%, and we can then go in with some fine line brushes and really get some detail on there. But yeah, I'm pleased with that for a starting point. Right, I'm first going to take some yellow ochre and paint a few stripes of colour, which are going to form the rather amazing spire of the temple. A bit wobbly for the moment, but that will work. And now let's take some of this deep dark colour. I've got a size 0 brush here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start painting in some detail, which can involve like a sort of balcony railings thing. It could involve some extra pillars. So that means that's going to get out to there. And then of course we could have some doors, maybe some windows. Just keep them very simple. You could do a tiny extra frame if you wanted, just on one side. That's quite effective, isn't it? Excuse my sniffing, I do apologise. I've got hay fever. I'm trying to get rid of it. Right, so I'm just going to carry on up the top, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use the top of the roof as my sort of railings edge. I don't think I'm going to have any extra pillars coming off those, but you do tend to see sort of extra sort of curves coming off the roofs. I wonder if any of you have actually visited somewhere like this, and maybe you have a photo or a memory where you could actually create something real. That would be pretty cool. And then up at the top here, I'm going to use this colour to just edge that like that, and then if I can create a nice spire like that. Cool. I'm quite pleased with this for a first go. It's something that I was asked to paint, and I'm really thrilled to be having a go at it. It's fun. And I love trying new styles of watercolour as well, painting in this slightly sort of fresher style. So now I'm going to draw my attention towards the rest of the landscape, just by placing a little bit more on that platform there. We talked about trees, didn't we? Well, let's put some trees in. So in a sort of silhouetted kind of a way, I'm going to just allow my brush to wobble like that, and on this side I will do the same. Trees are a very helpful way of framing a piece, and I don't know about you, but could you even recall doing those mountains at the beginning? They're a bit of a distant memory, aren't they? Now this looks really nice, but I want to put in some sort of blossom. So if I just get a little bit more pink in the mix there, and I might get a slightly larger brush. Let's see, just dabbing that brush that looks quite fun. I'm very keen to try and sort of introduce new painting topics and styles to you all in as user-friendly way as possible. And if it's helpful for me to say that it's a new one for me too, I hope that will encourage you to have a go and not feel too scared, because, well, I should be very scared because I'm sitting here doing it all for you, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I find it takes me a few minutes to really hit my stride with a new topic, but it's, yeah, I'm very pleased with this, so I hope you're enjoying it too. I'm going to take a bit of my deeper, darker colours and just add a bit, but I think I need to go down a size brush because that was starting to get a little bit heavy immediately. Now I'd just like to try and get it just on the bottom edges. But if you do enjoy landscapes or house painting, or if you'd love to learn to paint your own house or your friend's house, it's a really nice gift to do. We do have wonderful full tutorials on my Patreon for that kind of thing, because so often we don't have time to cover a topic like this on YouTube because I do quite quick tutorials. So joining my Patreon, you'll get loads more things like this, but in more depth and detail, and covering a larger area, a larger time frame. Now, one last thing I do want to do is I want to just do a few little steps down here. So if I take some of that brown colour I was using, that brown colour, Harriet, is burnt sienna, for heaven's sake. It's like, that brown colour. I'm talking like I've never seen watercolour before. That's quite nice. Maybe I just add a little bit of it. That's cool. And then I will get a little bit of my Payne's grey. We're going to need a gate there, aren't we? Because I've created a walkway to a place with just an empty, well, a barrier basically. So we'll work on that. But anyway, there is just a little bit more sort of detail on the rocks and whatever they are, bushes, rocks, whatever you like. There is my Japanese temple, first go. I'm pleased with that, and I hope you have a go at this too. I'm going to let it dry, and I'm going to rub out the pencil just so we can enjoy seeing what it looks like fully formed. Okay, so here is our finished piece. You can see how effective just little blobs can be for windows. I'm thrilled with it. I really, really love trying new things, and this was a new thing. And I love the colour palette. I love how that's all really nice and limited, and it just makes the piece feel like a little vignette. Do have a go, see what happens. It's just all good to try new things, isn't it? And don't forget to tag me if you have done something and sharing your piece on social media. Tag me at Winton Paper Co, and we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're everywhere, we're Pinterest. You can't lose us. So yeah, love to see your stuff, because it means that, well, it just encourages me to keep coming up with ideas for you. So thank you very much, and I will see you again next time. Bye!